What's up, guys? Here are my predictions for UFC 228 this weekend. One of the best cards of the entire year, stacked all the way from the prelims to the main event. So I highly recommend, if you guys want to see some good fights, start with the prelims. So we're going to start with Jimmie Rivera versus John Dodson, which is the second fight on the prelims. Very interesting fight. You got Jimmie Rivera, who's a very well-rounded fighter, good boxing, good leg kicks, fast. He's, for the first time in his career, going to be the bigger fighter. He has a good wrestling game, and he has good submission defense. Now, a lot of those stuff he's not going to have to worry about coming from John Dodson, because John Dodson, he relies on sprawl and brawl. That's sort of his style. Absolutely insane takedown defense. Doesn't really go for takedowns, and doesn't really go for submissions. And he has a giant left hand. He is one of the, if not the fastest fighter in this division. And that speed correlates straight into his power. And his footwork is super fast. He's able to move around, not in a constant pattern, but he moves quick with sharp angles, sharp movements, and then he kind of sits there. It's almost like you're fast forwarding it when you're watching him fight. And Jimmie Rivera, he does everything pretty well. He's not exceptional anywhere. He is a tough guy. He doesn't have the greatest chin, and he does have a good jab. He does have a good right leg kick, like you saw in the Uriah Faber fight. Leg kicks could work against John Dodson, but he's going to have to really watch out from the left overhand, because that will put Rivera straight out. And if I'm going to look at this fight honestly, John Dodson has a great style against Rivera, because his takedown defense will be enough to stop Rivera's takedowns. And Rivera being on the feet with Dodson for too long is going to be ill-advised. And this is a 3-round fight where you're not really going to worry about Dodson tiring out. The only unpredictable thing coming into this one is Dodson's age and his experience. He has taken damage in his career, and he's been fighting for a pretty long time. So I don't know how he's going to show up exactly, but if he shows up like a John Dodson of old, I think he should take this fight. His style really matches up well against a guy like Rivera. If Rivera takes down Dodson, that is going to be his key to victory, but that's going to be very hard to do with the takedown defense Dodson has. It's not the most technical takedown defense, but it's purely from athleticism. It's just hard to get a hold of the guy, and he's always exploding away from you. So I'm going to go with John Dodson. I'm going to go by a 3rd round TKO. I don't think Jimmie Rivera's chin is going to hold up completely. But up until the finish, I could see it being a pretty close fight. And then we move to Aljamain Sterling versus Cody Stamann. This fight should be pretty close. Aljamain Sterling, good BJJ artist, good wrestling, good kicks from the outside, and that's pretty much it. His submissions are very dangerous. He's always scrambling for them. He has good arm bars, good at getting the back, good guillotines, good Darce chokes, good arm triangles, and just good kicks from the outside. Leg kicks, head kicks, very athletic with his kicks. His punches and his boxing isn't all there, and that is where Cody Stamann is going to have the biggest advantage coming into this one. And Sterling doesn't have the best takedown defense, but then again, his submissions are a problem. So Sterling's going to be all the way out, or he's going to want to be in the clinch. Right? He doesn't want the mid or close striking range. And those two ranges are where Cody really excels at. He has pretty good boxing. He's the more well-rounded fighter with his kicks, with his boxing. He has good wrestling, good takedowns, good takedown defense. He has good submission defense as well. He will go for submissions if they present themselves, and he has great ground and pound. He has a lot more going for him in this one. And he's a very tough guy, good chin as well. And he's not afraid to exchange shots. If he starts trading with Sterling, he will win that exchange. And that is really what you have to look for. Not so much exchange and trade with Sterling, but get in close and use his boxing. We saw him fight Brian Caraway, and Caraway being a very dangerous grappler as well. Stamann was able to hold his own in the grappling and in the wrestling. He got close to getting submitted at the end of the fight, but he was winning the striking, and he was holding his own in the grappling. I think it's going to be a very similar thing in this one. But Cody is going to have to not commit with his takedowns too much, but more so use them to control Sterling and not throw big ground and pound, not expose himself too much like he usually does. He doesn't really commit too much on the ground and pound and with submissions, which makes it hard for fighters to catch him with submissions or even sweeps. So I'm going to go with Cody Stamann, getting in close, using his boxing, staying in that range, and I'm going to go by a decision. Then we go to Carla Esparza versus Tatiana Suarez, the featured fight on the prelims. You got two wrestlers, the best wrestlers in this division by far. Carla Esparza, very experienced, and that's going to be her biggest weapon coming into this one. She's fought the who's who in this division. She's beat some of the who's who in this division. But when it comes to skills and styles, this is a bad matchup for Esparza, because things she does, Tatiana Suarez does better than her. They both have the same background, but Suarez is just much more extensive. And in MMA, it's much more effective. And not only that, she's going to be the much bigger fighter. And the size with the wrestling is going to be a bad formula for Esparza. Esparza, though, she has a striking. She has a good blitz, left, right combinations, sometimes counting to 8 punch combinations. And they're all coming on the inside. They're all coming usually with straight shots. She doesn't really throw too many overhands, and she doesn't really throw too many kicks. But that kind of blitzing style, I think, is a good attack against someone like Suarez. Suarez is very long, uses lanky punches. Her defense isn't the best, but it's her wrestling. She can counter Esparza's blitz with a double leg, take her down, control her, possibly look for submissions. But I think she's going to really look for ground and pound. It's going to be hard to submit Esparza. And the thing about Suarez is striking. Now, it's not the prettiest. It's not the most technical striking, but I see some gift there. She has physical gifts. She's very athletic. And very similar to Jon Jones' first fight in the UFC, his striking was very ugly, right? But he tried a lot of things. That's what Suarez kind of does. And Jon Jones' striking, it got a lot cleaner, and that's really what he relies on now. I could see that in the future happening with Suarez. She's very young in the MMA game. I'm very curious to see how her striking is in this fight. But I'm going to go with Tatiana Suarez. I see her controlling Esparza to a decision. And then we go to the main card. Abdul Razak Alhassan versus Niko Price. This fight might be your fight of the night, or it's going to be your performance of the night. One of the two. You got two knockout artists, straight up knockout artists. Different kind of approaches. Alhassan is more of a fiery, committing, always looking for the knockout kind of guy. Niko Price is more savvy and calculated. He's more technical with his striking. Alhassan, big power, very athletic, doesn't move around a whole lot, and he is uber aggressive. Too aggressive sometimes. Doesn't really go for takedowns. He won't take down Niko Price. And Alhassan really only has 2 big weapons, his right overhand and his right uppercut, and he usually sets it up by jabbing or posting, and whenever he does that, he steps in behind and then throws the right hand. Can be predictable for a guy like Niko Price. But other than that, Alhassan is just a savage. He just swings at you until he knocks you clean out. Niko Price, he will look for his opportunities a lot more. He's better at countering. He makes some defensive mistakes, right? He won't block shots a whole lot, and even when he does, they always seem to get around his guard. And his head movement isn't the greatest. He has good movement, though, with his feet. But he will be pressured in this fight. 100% he's going to be pressured. He's going to have to just really worry about that right hand of Alhassan. And whenever he throws the right hand, just watch out from the left hook, and that's it. Those are the only shots Alhassan's really going to look for against Niko Price. And if Price is able to stay on the inside of Alhassan, because Alhassan, when he throws a big shot, he stays in close on you. He doesn't really retreat and create distance like someone like Darren Till will do. He will commit and stay in close, and Niko Price can throw in elbows on the inside. He can tie him up with a tie clinch, land knees, all that sort of stuff. He's better with kicks than Alhassan. Now, here's the thing. This fight is very hard to call because of how these two guys strike, and Alhassan can knock out anybody. Even if he's not as technical or he's not as good of a fighter as you, he could still land that big shot on you, and he just needs one. But I like skills, so I'm going to go with Niko Price. This fight's almost 50-50. I'm going to go with Price. I'm going to go with the more skilled fighter, but I could see him getting caught. Then we go to Jessica Andrade versus Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Hope I pronounced that right. Winner of this fight is probably going to get a title shot. Jessica Andrade, she already deserves it. But if Karolina wins, she holds a win over Rose, so she would get it. Andrade, the most physical fighter in this division by far. Not the most technical, but physical. It's hard to really get over that physical component of hers. She is so strong. She is so tough. Her chin's amazing. Her cardio doesn't make sense. She's able to overpower everybody she fights. She overpowered Claudia, and that is insane. Very short fighter, though. Likes to march down at the opponent. Doesn't use any kind of flashy footwork. Just marches down Vanderlei style. Throws haymakers at you, but she really looks to counter you at first. So she'll walk you down and wait for you to throw some shot at her. And then she'll usually lean back and then enter with the left hook. And then her barrage comes and she gets you to the cage, hooks haymakers to the body, to the head. If you let your legs exposed, your hips exposed, she will go for the single leg, high crotch, lift you, dump you, slam you, control you on top. And if she's controlling you on top, she is very hard to shake off because of how strong she is. Karolina, unorthodox striker, switches stances all the time, throws a good power straight, has some good kicks, side kicks are there, front kicks are there, but she has no pattern. Everything's very awkward when she throws strikes. Everything's very awkward. Her timing's awkward, her form can be pretty awkward, but she's effective with them. She does her best work when she's not being pressured, right? When she's in the center of the cage or when she's pressuring the opponent, she's able to really make the fight as ugly as possible and let her volume go. You can look at both their numbers. Their numbers are insane. 6.5 and 5.5 significant strikes landed per minute. That is almost unheard of. The biggest thing that's going to go for Andrade, though, is one, Karolina's submission defense isn't all there. She got submitted very quickly by Claudia with almost no defense to it. So Jessica could submit Karolina, but not just that. She could shut down Karolina's best game, and that is the clinch. Karolina's best game is the tie clinch. She's able to land elbows. Her volume is insane in there. She doesn't stop. You saw it in the Rolls fight. You saw it even in the Joanna fight. They had a very hard time with her in the clinch. And we're talking about even Joanna, who's extremely experienced in Muay Thai. The thing about why Jessica Andrade can nullify that is with her single leg and the fact that she works in close. The only thing she's going to have to worry about in there, because Karolina is very dangerous in the clinch, is just watch out from those knees, because Karolina is a lot taller than her. It says she's 5'3". She's definitely not 5'3". She has to be 5'6", 5'5"-ish. Looking at her height difference with Rose and Joanna, she's about the same height as both of them. So the knees are going to be a problem. Watch out from those constant knees from Karolina. Other than that, if she could bypass those, get in close, single leg, high crotch takedown, the fight's pretty much Andrade's. So I'm going to go with Andrade. I'm going to go by a decision because Karolina is extremely tough and her chin is insane. Then we go to Zabit Magomedsharipov versus Brandon Davis. I'm going to cut it right to the chase. This is a huge mismatch. Zabit has it all. Trips, double legs, single legs, throws, side kicks, front kicks, spinning kicks, cage kicks, left hooks, jabs, uppercuts in the pocket, can fight from the outside, can fight on the inside. He is excellent in the clinch with his knees. His ground game is amazing. He is excellent with top pressure. He is excellent with getting the back. His submissions are super dangerous. His Darce choke is there. His guillotine is nasty. He's the whole package, right? He will make some defensive mistakes, like he will get lazy with it, right? If people are throwing punches at him, he seems to just use his shoulders more. He doesn't really pick his hands up or use his head movement. He just uses his shoulders, and that's a dangerous game to play. But the thing about Brandon Davis is, for people who don't know about him, Brandon Davis is a tough guy, and he loves to use his reach. He's a very big featherweight. But very big featherweights who rely on their reach are going to have an automatic, natural problem with Zabit because his size is unheard of in this division. So someone like Davis who relies on that reach is going to fight a guy who's even longer than him. That's a problem. Good jab, good straight, but he leaves his hands down all the time, and he gets hit. His output is there. He even has higher output than Zabit, but when it comes to that range, Zabit is going to outpoint him. The check left hook and the jab are going to be Zabit's best friends in this fight, and he could take down Brandon Davis. Davis is not going to do a whole lot on the ground with Zabit, but the thing about Davis is he has pretty good elbows, so any way he can get in close and land those elbows and make it a dirty fight, as untechnical as possible, that is where his chances are gonna lie. But I got Zabit. I got a first or second round submission. And then another massive underdog in Nicco Montano, as she's going to be facing Valentina Shevchenko. I'm pretty sure Nicco Montano is the biggest underdog as a champion ever in the UFC. Now, Montano is very tough. She has excellent cardio. She could go 5 rounds at a high pace. Look at her numbers. 7.5 significant strikes landed per minute. That is higher than everybody else on this entire card. And we're talking about people like Zabit and Jessica Andrade and Karolina. But here's the thing, she's only had one fight in the UFC, and I don't know if they're counting her tough fights, but regardless, that's pretty high output for a 5-round fight. And she was good for all 5 rounds. And she fought Roxanne Modafferi, who's even more of a veteran than Shevchenko is, and has a very dangerous ground game. Nicco Montano is more of a BJJ fighter than anything, and to see her really mix it up on the ground with Roxanne Modafferi, it's pretty impressive. Her striking isn't the prettiest. She has a good jab, and she has a good slip on a jab, which is excellent. But other than that, not a whole lot else. Her kicks aren't the best. She shouldn't be kicking with Shevchenko a whole lot besides maybe throwing leg kicks. But she's going to have to watch out from the high kick counter from Shevchenko, which she loves to do. And she can look for takedowns. She's going to be a little bit bigger than Shevchenko. But the thing about that is people really underestimate Shevchenko's clinch work and her takedown defense and her counters to takedowns. She is a black belt in judo. And she uses it very effectively. She's taken down Amanda Nunes. She's taken down Holly Holm. And these are massive fighters. Well, more so Amanda Nunes being a better grappler, a very good grappler. And she's taken them down. She submitted Juliana Pena, which shows her submission skills. she is not one to take lightly even when it comes to the grappling. She is very dangerous there, which is why I believe she's the most technical female fighter in the UFC. Her striking is going to be leaps and bounds above Nicco Montano. She's going to have the jabs, the straight left hand. She's going to have the spinning kicks, the side kicks. She's going to have the leg kicks. Her leg kicks aren't the most powerful, but they're there to check the opponent. So my prediction for this fight, I'm going to go with Valentina, of course, and I'm going to go by a 3rd or 4th round submission. I think Montano is going to be in there, stick in there for most of the fight, but I think Shevchenko is going to beat her to the punch and just be too technical for her. And since Nicco Montano throws a lot of jabs, Valentina Shevchenko's famous check right hook is going to be so open to Montano. She's going to be able to block it, slip on the outside, pull on the punch, or deflect the jab, and then land the counter right hook over the top. And then we go to the main event, Tyron Woodley versus Darren Till. This is probably the hardest fight to call on the entire card. Tyron Woodley, excellent right hand, right overhand, right uppercut. Other than that, not too much else coming from his hands. He has good leg kicks, but he rarely ever uses them. He's going to have to really watch out from the reach because Darren Till could reach right over for that left hand, and they are opposite stances. So if he's going to kick out the leg of Darren Till, landing on the inside, very similar to what happened with Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje, where Gaethje was landing on the inside of Dustin Poirier's leg, he was using that to set up his left hand. This can happen the exact same way for Darren Till, so I don't really recommend Tyron Woodley throwing too many kicks. And Darren Till has a longer reach, so that's a problem. Other than that, Tyron Woodley has a good double leg, very explosive. He is almost the figure of fast twitch, because everything is fast, everything is explosive, everything's powerful. And he does have pretty impressive cardio for how explosive he is, but here's the thing. The reason why he doesn't really gas out a whole lot is because the fight gets played into his pace almost every single time. There's only a few times it didn't, like the Rory McDonald fight. But other than that fight, almost every single fight fought to his pace, right? It's a slower pace where it's almost like a point fight. But the thing about this point fight is his shots are going to knock you out cold. So he's able to rest a lot more. So you're going to have to put a little bit of pressure on him like Rory did. A guy like Darren Till can absolutely do that, jabs from a distance, keep Tyron Woodley on the cage, which is a problem Tyron Woodley really has, is he loves to get his back to the cage and stay there and look for his opportunity to explode, counter, intercept with the right hand, or even a takedown. But if you keep jabbing him and keep him there with long-range strikes, front kicks, jabs, all that sort of stuff, he's going to have to respond at some point. And that's what Rory did. Just wait him to respond, and then I counter him. I counter him with a takedown, I counter him with a left hook, I counter him with a jab, I counter him with a straight right. Darren Till can absolutely do that as well, but Darren Till now has the outside foot as a weapon, right? Get his foot on the outside, land the left hand. Because Darren Till's left hand, unlike Rory McDonald's power hand, Darren Till could put anybody to sleep with that left hand. And he's very fast with it. Tyron Woodley, if he takes down Darren Till, just like he takes down everybody, it's going to be very hard to get out from the bottom. He is so strong. His base is so solid, man. And his ground and pound is nasty. If he creates space on top of you, he's exploding. He's so fast twitch. Those shots are going to be coming quick at you. Doesn't need much room to land big shots on top. Then we look at Darren Till as a Muay Thai fighter. Excellent footwork, fast footwork, athletic guy as well. Good left hand. Everything really comes off that left hand and the left kick. Very similar to Conor McGregor. All of his weapons really come from the left side. Except for like a few, like the jab of Darren Till or the side kick from Darren Till as well as Conor. Conor also has the right uppercut. Everything else is coming from the left side. Darren Till loves to get the outside foot, but not just to land the left hand, which opens it up, but also to cut the opponent off completely like he did to Donald Cerrone. I really recommend you guys watching that fight. He will get his foot on the outside and create like an imaginary wall to the cage and keep the opponent from getting past that wall. And that's how he traps him to the cage. He wants to trap you to the cage. That's where his game really opens up. And he is excellent at countering right overhands, which is something Tyron Woodley loves to do to relieve of the pressure. But here's a big thing about Darren Till. He has a defensive flaw. In this case, it will be a flaw if he doesn't to Tyron Woodley, and that is he leans back on everything. Everything. Besides takedowns. He will lean back on punches, on kicks, if they're coming to his head. And here's why that's a big flaw coming to this fight, and that is when he leans back, his hips are exposed. Nothing is going to stop Tyron Woodley from getting that double leg on him, or even a single leg, because Darren Till does keep a very long stance. That's a problem. But now there's the thing about that. How does Tyron Woodley get to that point? How can he make Darren Till lean like that? That's only going to come if he convinces Darren Till he's going to throw the right hand, right? So how is he going to do that? Everything he does comes from the same setup. He sets up everything that he's effective at with the same thing. He will fake shots in front of you to cover distance to get you reacting to him, and then right overhand or takedown, or he will just move back and wait for you to throw something at him, and then he will explode behind that. Usually all it comes from one point. He doesn't really move a whole lot to do this. He's kind of plodding, obvious footwork, and then explodes on you. A guy with footwork like Darren Till, it's going to be hard to do that. But if he can get Darren Till to react by leaning back, he's going to get Darren Till down. If he keeps getting Darren Till down, Tyron Woodley is not going to gas out as much. Darren Till might gas out. Being a very big fighter, he's going to cut a lot of weight. And wrestling's not his game. We haven't really seen him get taken down in the UFC a whole lot. And if Tyron Woodley takes him down, he's going to get held down. I'm pretty sure. If he stands up from Tyron Woodley, I will be very impressed. So my prediction for this fight, man, this is so tough. I've been going back and forth with this fight all day because these two guys can beat each other on any given night. Any given night, just a few changes and the other fighter wins. This fight really comes down to one thing. What is their game plan? That's all it comes down to. Who's going to come in there with a better game plan? Because with their skill sets, they can beat each other. They can absolutely beat each other 5 out of 10 times each. Is Darren Till going to figure out Tyron? Because these two guys are very intelligent. They have high fight IQ. So is Darren Till going to come in there knowing his defense of leaning back and knowing that exposes him to a takedown? Is he going to fix that? Is Tyron Woodley going to get more aggressive? If he's pressuring Darren Till and gets away from the cage entirely, his chances of winning skyrocket. Because now he has more opportunities to fake, he has more ground to cover and work with to set up takedowns and right overhands and all that sort of stuff. He can land leg kicks a lot more now. The takedowns especially are going to come a lot easier because he can pressure Till to the cage and use the cage. If he's going to stay on the cage and he doesn't fix that in his game plan, Darren Till might win this fight. But here's the thing, that leaning thing from Darren Till and Tyron Woodley getting his back to the cage, those are almost like instincts for them. It's a tough fight to call, man. It's so tough. It's almost even for me. It all comes down to the speculation of the game plan. That's really all it comes down to. I'm going to go with my gut feeling. I'm going to go with Darren Till. For some reason, I see him winning this fight. I don't really feel worried picking him more than I am worried picking Tyron Woodley. I have a feeling when I look at it, Darren Till isn't going to react like that to all of Tyron Woodley's shots because he knows what Tyron Woodley's going to be doing. Right? He knows what shots Tyron Woodley goes for. I'm trusting Darren Till's instincts, I guess, of his ability to know which shot might land on him, so he has to react to it, and which shot is a fake, and he knows not to react to it. And here's the thing, if he reacts correctly to, let's say, a right overhand of Tyron Woodley, like Darren Till does to everybody, he will land that left hand on him as a counter. And Darren Till only needs, what, 1 left hand, 2 left hands to end the fight, which is a big difference than Tyron Woodley fighting Stephen Thompson, who doesn't really have that luxury. So I'm going to go with Darren Till. I'm going to go with my gut feeling in this one. And I'm going to go by a 3rd round TKO. But here's the thing, this fight can absolutely go to a decision. It can absolutely be a chess match. So those are my predictions for that. And I'm going to look at the betting odds of every single fight and see which fights are best to look forward to. If you are a betting man, which I'm not really a betting man. John Dodson is an underdog. I do think he will win that fight. It is a pretty close fight, though. Niko Price is an underdog, but then again, that fight can go either way, man. That's a tough one to put. That's a big gamble to put anything on that. Charles Byrd is a favorite over Darren Stewart. I would not put anything on Darren Stewart, even though he is about a plus 200 underdog. Submission defense is pretty bad, and he doesn't have the best takedowns or takedown defense. Roberto Sanchez, that's a fight I would keep my eye on. He is a big underdog. And I don't think it should be that far apart in the betting odds. Roberto Sanchez has really good submissions. He's dangerous on the ground. And Jared Brooks makes a lot of questionable decisions in a fight. So that's a fight I would keep my eye on. I do think Jared Brooks should win the fight. But there is a chance Sanchez could win that one. Cody Stamann is a very slight underdog, but that's a super close fight. So then we look at the big underdogs. Brandon Davis is, what, a plus 800 underdog, something like that. And Nicco Montano is about a plus 900 underdog, plus 800 as well. Keep my eye on those ones, I guess, or put a little bit of something on those, because you never know about MMA. Those two should not win those fights at all. But this is MMA. Very unpredictable sport. You never know what happens. The Darren Till Tyron Woodley fight, Tyron Woodley's a little bit of an underdog, so that wouldn't be a bad bet at all, because that is a very close fight, but I do think Darren Till might win the fight. Almost 50-50 though. So being an underdog, not a bad thing to look at. To be honest, this entire card is not a good card to put anything on. So those are my predictions, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe. For my next video, it's going to be my reaction video to this card that's going to come out right after the event, so be lookout for that. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.